Hi everyone. I welcome you to my social communication and functional language conclave. So, this conclave is intended for a parent, child educator, therapist who are working with for children with additional and diverse needs. I have been doing so for past 6 years, and whatever I'm going to share today regarding the language ability of a child with additional need, diverse need, special need, it's all coming out of my experience. And I have been doing social communication sessions for the kids for quite some time, and I feel whatever I share is going to help you if you're a parent, if you're a therapist, or if you're a child educator. So let's start. This is going to be somewhere around like 30 minutes, maybe. I don't know how far it goes. So, but this is actually very gainful, and those of you, whenever you watch this, please do leave your feedback. So in this conclave, I'll discuss about the correct communication strategies or strategies for bringing out the language, plus the errors that we as therapists, we as parents are committing in training the receptive and expressive language skills in our child with additional needs. So also I would like to portray that whatever expectations you have from your child regarding his or her language skills, how much realistic are they? Are you putting a lot of unrealistic expectations which is leading to more of regression? And it's not only related to language, it's related to the overall development of your child, overall potential of your child. Now, what's language? You might say it's a skill, it's an ability to communicate. Okay, it's an ability, it's a skill to communicate. But can I say language is more of a personal or a self-expression? Through language, I'm able to communicate my likes to you, my dislikes, my feelings, my emotions, what I want, what I don't want, my needs. So it's more of your self-expression. Like we use other forms of self-expression. It can be sports, it can be music, it can be art. You tell the other person what you want. You convey your message to the other person or the bystander. So here in language, we are basically using a sound, our own voice to convey that message. But through other modes of self-expression, it is the art or music, there are other means. So the bottom line is that you are conveying your message. That is what language does to you. So can you teach language? Is it a yes or is it a no? If you're saying a yes, I would say language can never be taught. It can only be caught because it is based on experience. There are a lot of things that influences our language. Let's take an example. If we travel from one nation to another nation or from one culture to other culture, we try to go into their dialect and we try to absorb their accent. So that was not learned, that you caught. Same way is for language. So language cannot be taught. It can only be caught. It can only be absorbed. And that is what we forget when it comes in terms of our special need or additional need child. We forget that we don't have to teach them. So remember the example for accent. You cannot teach the accent the same way as language. So when you have this I could say eye-opening, or when you learn that your ward has language delays or is not able to pick up language, or his language abilities are not so good, are not up to the mark, or not age appropriate, what happens? What's your reaction as a parent? Your reaction is always you start working on their language from there and then. But is it correct to do that? Are you correct on your part? Or are you correct on that part as a therapist. Like somebody is telling you, some parent tells you that you have to, conveys to you, or their chief complaint is that the child is not speaking well, does not speak full sentences, he has a very few word speech or vocabulary, or he's not able to convey his needs, and you immediately start working on building on giving a language session. Are you correct in that? You need to evaluate your child not in terms of language but in terms of other skills. The cognition of the child, the orientation of the child, the sensory ability of the child, the motor planning of the child, the problem solving abilities of the child, his working memory. Is your child able to set an intention? Is your able child to problem solve, motor plan? All the visual and auditory abilities. So these need to be evaluated. So you can do small activities around your child, with your child, and you have to check if these skills are average. This is going to set up a bar, a scope of your child for further learning. So if all these skills that I mentioned, you evaluate them and you find that the child is doing well or needs more practice in these skills, need to develop these skills according to their age level, then you first plan goal sheet according to these skills. You need to work on their motor planning first, on their working memory, and keep language little secondary. These are the primary concerns then. And this can be done with like a lot of outdoor activities, play and leisure activities, fine motor activities, indoor games a parent can do, a therapist can do. So I will not be discussing the techniques with you. I am just highlighting how you go about the language ability for your child. Where are you identifying it, where you are missing it. So please keep listening. Also, it's important, you need to have a check on the behavior of concerns. Those behaviors which are interfering with learning, which can be any kind of learning. The child is not able to pick up the gross motor skills because of some behavioral concerns. So behavior of concerns, that is why I am technically putting it behavior of concerns. So that can be poor sitting tolerance, or visual distractibility, or the child escapes a lot, or the child seeks attention a lot. So you need to first mend that behavior, regulate that behavior, teach self-regulation to the child, teach emotional regulation to your child. This can be taught because you have the strategies. So go for the redirection technique. Go for replacing the undesirable behavior with the expected behaviors. So this as a therapist can do it, and you are very skilled to do that. And also a parent can be trained by a therapist. So behavior is always a message. It's again a communication. So you need to go, you have to check why the behavior is happening. So you'll get to know how much your child is expressive, how much your child is active. If this behavior is happening or that behavior is happening, you'll be able to understand if your child is socially friendly, or if your child is of that personality who likes to be in his own space, likes to be little socially withdrawn, not that sociable. And also remember that you cannot force socialization on your child. So you have to understand the socialization ability also of your child. Everybody cannot be that sociable. So you cannot put your personality, force your personality on your child. So this is very important. Check those skills which I mentioned. Check the behavior. Okay, your child has language delay. Definitely, you're going to work on it. But you need to check these first, because this is going to set up a scope of learning for your child. Everything goes hand in hand and everything is like a link. So I'm going to put it up again. Can you teach language? If you say no, thank you, you're following the path that I'm taking to. And if you still say yes, so listen further. So when we start conversation with the child, we'll always start with the question, what is this? We don't label the prop for the child. We don't say this is a puppy or this is a dog. What is this? Instead, this is a bottle filled with water. It is closed. What is this? So you're putting a probing question to the child, and that is what happens is When you begin your conversation, next time you begin your conversation with the child, you ask, what is this? The reply is, what is this? The reply is not, this is a puppy. Because the child has great ability to mirror. That's why I said language, you are teaching the language, child is catching the language. So you say, what is this? The child also says, what is this? So child mirrors you. So he is catching the language and you are teaching the language. But you have to have that ability to let your child catch the language. So that's why you have to always label the prop instead of immediately putting a probing question or inquiring question, what is this? So prevent the mirroring. Remember about the mirroring thing, because children are very good silent observers. They are very smart. Also, you need to take care of their developmental state, also their developmental age or stage, I would say. So match their age according to their cognition milestones, social milestones and language milestones, and then see where is he lagging behind. It's not that he's going to be lagging. If he or she is lagging in the language milestones, she shall also be lagging in the cognition. So this, then proceed, then start preparing that goal sheet. So whether you're a parent, whether you're a therapist, just keep these little things in mind. That's why I said I'll talk about the errors you do. So it never has to be, what is this? Oh wow, this is a puppy with 4 legs. That's how you go with it. Next, what I want to talk about is non-verbal behavior. So non-verbal behavior, we mostly think is that when we don't use words. So whatever these body gestures, facial expression that I am doing right now while communicating with you is my non-verbal part. Okay, but a very important thing is that you forget about the non-verbal behavior. It's facial expression, it's body gestures. So overall, what is non-verbal behavior? Yes, it's facial expressions, it's your gestures, it's your body language and posture. That's your non-verbal behavior, and we need to have the ability to judge it very properly. Positively judge it, not always negatively judge it. So there are about 60 symbolic signals, gestures that our body has. There are about 7 lakh unique body movements. And body language and posture is very, very important. Look, when you begin a language session, or you are a parent, you're beginning an interaction with your child, look at your child's body language, the posture. Is he slouched? Is he interested to communicate right now? Or is he in a cross arm, very defensive posture? So this needs to be looked upon. If the child is in mood to have a language interaction with you, is the child looking relaxed, confident? So when you feel that the child is very confident today, very relaxed, he is in a welcoming body posture, not very slouched and not very cross-armed, go ahead with your language conversations. Is the child comfortable and confident to communicate with you? Look these peculiarities, but we forget about it. One more thing is paralanguage. We have this in mind that a child needs to speak full sentences. He needs to say a hello. He needs to label everything around. He needs to be well informed about his surrounding. But a very important part of this non-verbal behavior and language skills is the tone, the pitch, the speed, the paralanguage. This all comes under paralanguage. Sometimes you speak very quickly. What is the relevance? When somebody speaks very, very quickly, he wants to end the conversation. When somebody is speaking with relevant pauses, with enthusiasm, you note the enthusiasm, you see the speed is very normal. That means the person is willing to give you more information. Loud pitch or a very abruptive pitch. So see the difference. A very empathetic voice. So the child is also silently taking in, but you have to train your child in that also, and we have to see if these are being built or not. We cannot let a child just mug up a poem, and even if a child with additional need is there, we try to make them mug up things at times and forget about this paralanguage. If you're doing a poem, try to try to train them with the pitch, with the tone. It has to be an exciting, it has to be a kind tone rather than a screech or rather than a screaming tone. So emphasize on this, very, very, very important. We always focus that we focus more on my child should be able to speak full sentences. That is important. It will come, but you are not looking at the secondary branches. That is the paralanguage. Why are you ignoring the paralanguage? Why are you ignoring the body language? Look at the other cues of body language. When you put a question to your child, if you put a question to your child, look where the eye moves. If it's moving towards the left corner, that means the child is going into the phase of imagination. That means he is processing, he is perceiving, he is cognitively finding it very stimulating. But when it goes to your for the top right corner, then he is imagining. But when it goes to the top left corner, that means the child is trying to recollect something from the past or from his memory. Also look for other body language signs. If the child is completely touching his suprasternal notch, or he's gulping a lot, or he is again and again hiding his eyes, that means the child is not comfortable taking that session from you. You are trying to put him more language, you are trying to give him more of vocabulary, you are trying to work on more of his joint attention, but is the child ready for this? So everybody has a mood, so you have to take in care of that also. Look at the character matching. How was the child behavior before he entered your class, or before you began the conversation, or before you asked him or her the questions, and now wrote the character watching. Is he blinking too much? Is he gulping? Is he again and again sipping water? Is he rubbing his thighs? So that means something is wrong. The child is not feeling comfortable. He's not having his own confident, comfortable self. So try to switch over to some other activity and do some relaxed labeling. Okay, we are going to jump now. We are going to crawl. What do you want to do next? Something like that. So watch the body language when you go with this language building. See how they use the objects around them. How are the objects are being used? Are they comfortable using it? Are they giving you any kind of response when they use the objects? Okay, this cat, this dog, okay, this bottle, this key, this rubber. I will going to stroke it, or I am going to press it. Something. Note what cues they give you. So the best way to connect, if you really are worried about your child making long sentences, extending conversations, do tangential teaching to your child. Don't teach them directly. Try to teach somebody around you. Try to have conversations with people around you and talk to them. Oh, hello, I met this person. My experience was like that. Because language cannot be taught, it can be only caught. So child is silently observing and he's grasping your language. So he may not give you response immediately in few days, but you will notice that the child has observed you so silently that he's going to give you that response within few months. It can be 1.5 months, 3 months. So speak affirmative sentences. That's easy to grasp by a child's mind. I am bold, I am brave, I am happy, I am healthy. I am energetic, I am strong. So these are the affirmative sentences. Gradually help in connecting, making longer sentences. So that is a thing that can be done. Next is automaticity. That is very important to judge, to see. What happens is, like, if something has been dropped by a child, look at their immediate reaction. What words do they use? What is their body language then? What are the cues they're giving you? If the child say gir gaya, so reward their automaticity every time. And then when your child has mentioned his particular thing gir gaya, then you try to put in your idea into their words. Like if the child said गिर गया, so say गिर गया, अब हम इसको कैसे उठाएंगे? So let the child again silently observe. He is going to process it. No matter if you have evaluated his working memory and problem solving very well, so he's going to process it. So by doing this, working on their giving a reward to their automaticity, and like I said, whatever, if something has dropped and if they say uthao, again reward their automaticity. Uthao, अब इसको वहाँ रख दो. So अब इसको वहाँ रख दो is added by you. Uthao was by your child. So this is fulfilling 3 goals. It is telling the child what is the consequence of it. Okay, उठा के वहाँ रखना है. Vocabulary addition and rewarding your child, like your child was correct. Do you give that impression to your child, or you always point to no, don't do that, or no, you gave a wrong answer? So again we are going to come to this tangential teaching or learning that works very well with your imprinting and imitations. So that is the same concept. Let the child watch, observe and absorb. So watch, observe and absorb. So if you are having a long conversation, a pleasing conversation obviously with somebody about some party, about some work at home, something which can relate to your child's life, let the child watch, observe and absorb. So the child observes you very, very carefully, very, very clearly, that how you problem solve or what is